Hello, hello. We are Lisa Kretschmann and Geneviève Berclaz, and this is our first conversation on Zoom and our first video, so we are a bit excited and nervous.
Yeah. Hello, also from my side. We decided to do this a couple of weeks ago because Geneviève and I met we were in the same coaching and mentorship program. And I think it was in one of the first sessions that we were put in the same breakout room. And I remember that I immediately felt like Geneviève is an absolute mirror to me. I saw in her this strong and confident woman, and that there's actually something behind the confidence, which is the vulnerability. And so anyway, I think I even reflected that back to you, and you were a little bit puzzled. But in any case, we had that connection and we realized that we have a lot in common in terms of our backgrounds, both having worked in very male environments, needing to prove, the strong woman, both having the ambition and working with women to help them, finding more balance in their lives. And a couple of weeks ago, we had one of these fascinating discussions talking about various topics. And at a certain point, I think you said like, hey, why do we just keep that between you and me and Zoom? We should maybe bring that out. And so that's how the idea was born to record it. And here we are. So Geneviève, how did we decide that we start our first one on self-confidence?
I think it's because that we both noted that this is a subject that comes quite repeatedly in our conversations with our clients. And what we saw also is that there's a lot of mythology about self-confidence, confidence, and confidence is also seen as this magic trick that's going to happen to you at some point, and then things are going to happen. So we had this discussion about why this confusion and why this and what is actually confidence. So since there's confusion about self-confidence, we are going to add another layer and making
of confusion.
Yeah.
Good, let's do that. So I remember that we also at a certain point said like, so what is self-confidence? What is confidence actually? And there's a lot of not only confusion, but also myths about it, right? That you need confidence to do something, and that confidence is like you either are confident or you're not, so that there are people who are confident and others not. And we believe that this is actually absolutely not true, that confidence is a skill that you can learn, and that confidence is also something that you can have a lot in one area of your life and very little in another, because it's based on experience and practice. It's for me, and I think for us, it's actually more a result of what we're doing rather than a precondition for whatever we want to do.
It's actually a result of what you learned and became good at. And I think the confusion comes also with because there's a mix with self-worth, self-esteem, which are about who you are. And I think that confidence is about what you know, what you do, what you learn to do, and what you're good at. And usually when you start doing something new, you're not that good at it. But trying and failing says nothing about who you are. And that's where the confusion comes in, and people think that confidence is going to happen to them at some point because they, I don't know, it's going to be magically there at some point, and then things are going to happen. Whereas the process is the opposite. You try stuff, you get better at it, and then you have the confidence. And usually when you look back at what your professional journey or other things, you got good at things you were not good at the beginning.
Yeah, that's an important point. And that's also one that I try to encourage my clients about. It's like when we wait until we are confident, we're never going to do anything. So this expectation that we have to have that first, not only that it's actually naturally can't be there first, But it's also a bit like, it is a bit itchy. It's always a bit itchy and edgy to start something that we haven't done before. So I think it's actually more about, confidence is an important one. And I think there are a lot of means and possibilities to work on it. And nevertheless, we should never assume that confidence is a precondition for us doing something. And we have to start learning to live with the edginess, with that slight feeling of fear and that impression that we are not confident, in order to do things to evolve and to become confident. So I think it's more about kind of learning to live with it, with the edge, rather than kind of waiting or trying to overcome it first. And yet, I think there's a lot of possibilities, and we're going to come to that a little bit later, to become more confident. There's ways to work on it. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's really about learning to be in this discomfort of doing new stuff. And even though it's about a skill, we have the impression that self-confidence is more of an issue for women. And one of the explanation is maybe that for ages, for centuries, it's been quite dangerous to be woman, which means it would be dangerous to try new stuff. It would be dangerous to be truly yourself, to show up powerfully, because you never know. The world was controlled by men. It's less the case today. It's not perfect yet. We're working on it. But still, there's all this learning that comes from really centuries of being in a very uncomfortable situation and adjusting in permanence to what the environment is telling you. Because confidence is also about trusting that you can be yourself and that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you mentioned that interesting aspect, I think it's also good to add that we are growing up in a society which has very male dominated structures, without blaming men, right? They grew up in the same world, the ones they're living today. But it's also kind of, confidence is something that is not really seen as positive in women, right? Often we get reflected that it's not what we are supposed to be. Being assertive is maybe something that is more expected from men. And what you just said about kind of being yourself, right? I think we also learn as women, or as little girls, that little girls are still expected a bit more to fit in. We're not really supposed to want something. We grow up in a way that we are, kind of going with the flow. And as long as we don't know what we want and what we need, and we're able to express it, how do we want to be confident asking for what we need and what we want? So I think it's like you mentioned the history and the centuries of kind of danger. But even nowadays, growing up as a girl and then as a woman living in this society, confidence is not something that is put into our, that is our birthright. Let's put it that way.
And I think that knowing what you want, what you desire, is like an engine for confidence. Once you know what you need, what you want, then you're going to ask for it, and you're going to take risk. And by taking risk, you are going to get more and more confident.
Yeah. Interesting aspect. So that's of course not something that only women struggle with, but I also experienced that in my work, that it's very much of an issue actually for most women, who also have that expectation of thinking that they need to be more confident. So maybe we can come a little bit more to what is important in order to be confident. And I just want to bring in one point, which for me which I think has been the most impactful in my life and for myself to be confident. It's like, as long as we try to be something or someone that we are not, we can't be confident. So working on finding out who we are and allowing and daring to be fully who we are, in my opinion, is a base condition for being and showing up confident in this world. This is not related to specific tasks, but as a general basis. So for me, the work starts with kind of, who am I? And what do I want and what do I need, right? These questions that we may not have asked ourselves in the past. What would I want if I was a really bad girl? Is a question that sometimes makes it clearer to know what we want and what we need. So working on being ourselves, not needing to play a role, having a mask that we need to keep up, which is a lot of stress and taking a lot of energy, and constantly living with that fear of, but maybe others see through it. That certainly doesn't, I mean, I think that's one of the best recipes of not being confident. And I talk, I mean, it's not only about my clients, this is very much about myself, because this has been so much my path, re-embracing who I am and who I am as a woman. Yeah,
I agree. I see a lot with myself and with clients, like, but if I do that, what are they going to think? Am I in danger? Might be dangerous. And it's not something big. It's about, asking a raise or asking for better working conditions, something rather normal. And it's really about, it might be dangerous, and they might see that I'm not who I'm pretending to be, this nice girl that always agrees with everything and works a lot and sacrifices everything. So this, I think it's a bit about being selfish, saying, okay, this is what I want, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to learn stuff so that I can have it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's okay.
Yeah, and it's about showing up in particular as women and taking our place again, right? Taking our place again in this world. And yeah, it's so confusing sometimes to not be supposed to be, too confident, too beautiful, too whatever, right? So really being who we are and being that with 100% of our beings, I think is one of the biggest steps. Yeah, but so
the tricks, basically, there are a few easy tricks that we wanted to share about how to feel more confident. The first one would be about posture. If you are standing erect, you are stable on your feet, you are not slumped like that, you're not excusing yourself for barely existing. Really physically be there, like a warrior, like an Amazon being there, is really help, because your body is going to talk to your brain and say, okay, I'm here, I'm stable, I'm grounded, and I'm going to learn new things, and it's going to be okay. So it's really about using your body to talk to your head.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fake it until you make it. Also then what you can do is also to pretend. To pretend to be someone who is full of confidence, is going to learn new things, try new things, maybe fail, flat on her face, and start again. Like a superhero, or choose your favorite superhero and pretend you are this person.
And you can be anything you want in any case. But it's true, just sitting up, we immediately have more presence also. So we have more presence in the room when we stand there, fully with a physical presence also. That's true. Yeah, and it's based on that aspect, being there fully, rather maximizing than minimizing. That also plays a role in terms of our language. So I think the best thing to not be confident is to apologize and justify all the time. That really gives ourselves the message of not being worth and not being confident. So stopping that, just stopping to apologize, stopping to justify, and learning to ask just for what you want, and ideally then shutting up is also an important, really important one for me. And also stopping to complain about things, right? Because when I complain about what I don't get or what I don't have or what somebody else does or doesn't do for me, there's always a desire behind. And we complain because it's easier, it's more vulnerable to say what we want. But this is exactly what we need to learn, to know what we want and to say it. So stopping to apologize, stopping to justify, stopping to please people.
And stopping to minimize. Stop having little questions. Ask the question.
What do you mean?
Please, just have a little question.
Okay, I know what you mean.
I mean, go ask your question. You don't have to sugarcoat it with the minimizing words because you don't want to bother anyone. And ask your question. That's it. And also, I think about it's a mix between language and posture. Slow down. Really listen to what is being said, and then ask for what you want. Don't stay in your head like, oh, this is what I want to say, this is what I want to say, and your attention is in the middle of nowhere because you're half listening to what is happening and you're half thinking about what you're going to say. Be in in one of these positions, not both at the same time, which means when you're in a conversation, really listen to what's going on, then pause, and then ask for what you want or say what you have to say without starting with, I just had a little question. Yeah, and it's really about presence and accept that it's going to be slow and that you don't have to have the perfect words. We both follow a coach we really love in the US. Her name is Kesia Urbaniak, and I think she really models for me something very important. It's really slowness in expressing yourself. It's about, because she can be really slow when she's finding her words, because she's finding the right way to say it, and it's not boring. She doesn't look hesitant. She looks powerful because she's looking for what she really wants to say. And it's really slow. It's really a lesson in power.
Yeah, and as you mentioned her, what really impressed me and touched me with her is that she really knows what she wants because she knows it from her heart. And I think this is the big difference, in particular for us as women. Where does the wanting come from? It's not about, kind of just being strong on the outside, but it's about being strong on the inside and respecting our feelings and our heart and our truth. And when our wanting comes from there, we are much more in our bodies, we are much more present. And I think we also are much more confident because we just express it fully and with truth. So that's really a good example. For me, another aspect is also, and I was reminded in listening to a podcast recently, how much in Europe we are different than the Americans in terms of not celebrating what we did well. And I think this is really a big mistake. I think we should celebrate ourselves for what we do well, and even celebrate ourselves, or in particular celebrate ourselves when we fail for having gone there, having tried. So for me, kind of cultivating a culture of celebration is in addition, it's fun, right? But it also has a huge impact on our self-confidence and on our self-worth.
Yeah, and I think it's very important because it reminds you that you used to not know how to do something, and then you learned and you gained confidence. It didn't just happen to you. And also celebrate the fact that things happen because you're good at it, not because it's a coincidence or you were just the right person at the right place. No, I mean, it happened because of you. And it's also against this stop apologizing. I mean, what you have, you owned it. It's not a coincidence. You're brilliant. Own it.
Good reminder, right? Because I still tend to do that, to not be proud of what I achieved, but rather say like, oh yeah, it was easy when it came to me. It just comes so easy. I mean, it comes faster than I can control it, but it's an important one to recognize our values and our worth and our capabilities. And in addition, to be playful, right? I think when we take life overly serious, and that's what I did also, kind of trying to fit into a masculine world, everything was about just, I have to come over serious, right? Do I?
No,
I don't do
it's
that
all a
anymore,
game.
Exactly. And in addition, I think people like it, be playful, be alive. And that also makes it easier to play with trying out things, and seeing also failing as a game like kids do, right? How often do they need to repeat something until they have learned it? So failing for them is part of daily life. For us, it's like, it's all that serious and it's not allowed. So yeah, being playful in life certainly helps with confidence. Might sound
Yeah.
contradictory, but it's not.
And maybe remember that, yeah, it's really all a game. And the stakes, I think, especially with work and sometimes personal life, we overestimate really what is at stake. Usually it's quite low. You're not going to die. Nothing bad is really going to happen. Or you might fail, but it's okay. And which brings us back to the beginning. Whatever happens, your self-worth is inherent. It's something that is always there. You don't need to do stuff and to succeed. Your worth is always there.
Yeah, which brings us back to that aspect of being and learning to be who we are, right? Because that per se makes us feel better, more confident, and more happy. And maybe this is a good way to bring it back and to bring it together to a close.
To sum it up, I think that confidence has it's what we discussed the other day. Okay, I'm going for it. Confidence is not a magic lubricant for life.
That's a good one.
Doing new things is uncomfortable. So the magic is to get good at it, to get good with the discomfort, and failing and succeeding doesn't say anything about who you are, because you're perfect anyway.
That was a nice closure word. I love it that you're so structured, Geneviève, and bring it together in a nice nutshell. So yeah, so I really enjoyed it a lot. Thanks for the discussion. As usual, I enjoyed a lot to discuss with you.
And we hope you will enjoy our discussions too. And thank you for the feedback. And
exactly. And if you do, we might come out with a couple more, because we tend to have these discussions anyway on a regular basis. So great.
So see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.